Hello, my name is Michael Berger, and I have an associate's degree in mechanical engineering and a bachelor's degree in digital science. I have a certificate in AutoCAD and cybersecurity. I worked as a student IT assistant at the University of Akron, a math tutor at Stark State College, SMT operator at Airborne Electronics, and as a student team leader at Kent State University in the fan-rated desktop support department.
And my name is Gregory Hess. I have a bachelor's degree in digital sciences from Kent State University. I have a Test Down Security Pro certification, as well as numerous certifications through LinkedIn courses. I've held numerous IT positions in end-user support across Kent State, Beechwood Systems, and Northeast Ohio, and in my local area, in local town of Northeast Ohio, as I reside. And I'm en route to a rotational in Brooklyn, Ohio, this coming summer.
As of February of 2023, I reside at a business analyst position in my current company in a bank in the Ohio area. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the TechIT podcast. We have a good episode for you today. Today is July 16th, 2023. I'm one of your co-hosts, Gregory, here with my friend Mike here, as we get into the thick of it here with this edition of the TechIT podcast. But before we get started into the nitty-gritty of things, Mike, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Greg. How you doing?
It's been good over here. I'm using my summer wisely. I was at a wine festival just last weekend, which was pretty fun. I volunteered at it and got free admission and 20 ounces of free wine tasting. So it was all fun, and more to come before the end of the summer, no doubt about it.
That sounds like a fun event.
And speaking of new events coming out this summer, we have this doesn't really tie in well, but anyway.
That's okay.
I first heard about this on the Tech Linked YouTube channel, so if you want to know another source we get some of these from, you can go there. They're a very short form YouTube channel about tech news, about every other day they post, but I found a more detailed version of the story on Reuters.com, where it goes over the country of China releasing its first open source computer OS system or operating system. So there's a lot. They could put some asterisks there because it is not an outright new system. It is a version of Linux that was used in other machines before. But China is seeing this and kind of like copying off the other kids' homework, so to speak, and yelling out the answers, sort of thing. So just to get into the briefing of this, this was posted July 6th. So it's a homegrown, in quotes, open source desktop operating system named Open Kylin, Kylin. And the country steps up efforts to cut reliance on US technology, which we're still going to do the reverse. It was released that day and it's based on existing open source Linux systems. China's version is built by a community of about 4,000 developers. Is used in space program and industries such as finance and energy, they said, which they're both very, very heavy on finance and energy over there, as well as the massive market for China for an operating system alone is about $2.1 billion or 15.5 billion yuans last year. But this is an interesting step China's taking with the whole breaking down of barriers between China and the United States. Do you have any takes on this, Mike?
Well, I find it interesting that they base it off of a Linux OS. Linux is known as more of a low security OS. It's easier to break into than a lot of the other OSs. I don't know if you have any experience with Linux, Greg.
No.
you also like just installing stuff takes a lot more know-how. So it'd definitely be interesting to see how they move forward with this. And is the U.S. gonna be like, oh yeah, let's make a USA version of this too? I mean,
Uh,
is the base Linux the US OS?
uh, uh,
Uh,
I'm not saying that's off the radar, so to speak, because trust in Microsoft has gone considerably down. Not considerably, but a fair bit down. After we didn't cover this story in full, but it was just the other day here, as we record this on the 16th of July, that a bunch of government accounts were hacked by China, and it was through a Microsoft Exchange server, underlined Microsoft Exchange server.
mhm.
There was a backdoor that was left open, so to speak. And for those not unaware, leaving a backdoor open in cybersecurity is like leaving the backdoor of your house open for like a whole day, and you know what comes in. You know what comes in. So this has many companies backing it. Just to continue on with this subject matter, with more than a dozen Chinese companies trying to develop OS systems that could replace Windows and Apple Mac OS systems, with the whole thing about we're not relying on the United States anymore, so to speak, like individualism. Take maybe even the government can get their hands on it, and that's one angle I see from it is the government getting their hands on it and immediately putting blockers in there, so you don't look up what
tech?
the
Let's just look at this from a tech perspective.
Yeah.
I always think it's good to see more competition between newer OSs. Now, a lot of stuff is either Linux or Microsoft, and then you have your Mac OS. Then what else do you have? You have one of the other big competitors is your Chrome OS. There's a couple other ones, but you don't really hear about them a lot. I think competition between OSs is really what's going to move us forward in the operating system market. Like,
especially with Windows 11 kind of being very, very faulty right now still, as this came out again 2 Octobers ago, and it's still not in a great shape. Yet they're trying to push it as like a full product when it's not.
well, I'd be excited to see what other companies come up with if they're trying to make a competitor to Linux and Microsoft and Chrome OS. I know that Linux is on the lighter end, so it's not going to bog down your system compared to Microsoft and your Mac OS. And so is Chrome. I think Chrome OS is one of the lightest ones, right? Because it's mostly meant for browsing the internet there. So I'd definitely love to see more OSs come out, especially if they're like open source and free for everyone that people can experience and kind of maybe come out with some new ideas for OSs that we haven't seen before.
It's something to break the mold, so to speak.
Yes,
because of the past like 20 years, it's been mostly Microsoft and Apple, with Chrome OS just coming out like around the back end of the 2010s. So that granted, that's still a bit ago, but Chrome OS, I've yet to see that utilizing more besides recent talks of them trying to branch into cloud gaming again after Google Stadia kind of got buried out in the shed just last January. But
I'd love to see
with
Chrome push like the Chrome OS evolve into something more than just the browser thing, where like they go deeper and like, hey, well, maybe this is like a full hard version of an OS, because like now it's mostly just used for browser stuff, right?
Oh, if they push like that forward and Google Drive suite, like Chromebooks basically are like the pigeon heads of Chrome OS. Like, if you want to look at it, here's a Chromebook. It has Chrome OS in it.
Oh, I want to see them take the next step. Kind of like Apple here is taking the next step in its trademark allegations, and but they're just trying to trademark the picture of an apple, right?
Yeah. So to kind of, I know it sounds kind of dumb in person here, but for those that don't know, the Apple logo is an apple with a bite taken out of it. But it's been trying to trademark the Apple image in Switzerland since 2017. There's several applications in several other countries to kind of get that point across. And it submitted an application to the Swiss Institute of Intellectual Property for the rights to a black and white depiction of a Granny Smith apple, the logo. And it was partially awarded the request just last year, citing certain speculations and items. But now Apple has launched an appeal just a week or two ago because the case is ongoing and requires consent from Apple, as well as the ripple effects winning this battle, with this affecting a company that is 111 years old called the Fruit Union Suisse. I apologize if I don't translate stuff well, as that's an old institution in the Swiss world that could find itself troubled if Apple kind of takes the bag and goes home with this. So I'm very, like I said before in this podcast, I'm very confused about copyright law. So I just find it gets kind of messy. I know a guy back when I was at Kent State who likes litigation and copyright cases, especially in the gaming and tech industry. But
Well, I feel like this is just overall greedy of Apple to say, hey, all pictures of these kind of apples are ours now. Like, you can't use this without our permissions. That just sounds greedy. Like, I don't know. It sounds, like, ridiculous that they're pushing this trademark that far.
yeah, and many people are echoing that, including the director of the Fruit Union Suisse, as he finds it a hard time understanding this because, like, they're trying to protect their bin Apple, but their objective is to own something that's near universal. It's like trying to copyright a box. It's like Jack Dorsey from old Twitter fame, who owns Square, trying to copyright a square, like a square emote.
Do you feel like this is...
That's like the comparison I can make with this.
Do you feel like this is a publicity stunt? Like, where they're just trying to get their attention on them so they can get their name in the news more?
If it is, then I have egg on my face. Because they were successful in getting me to look at this. Because
I feel like that's like, it just sounds so like outlandish to me that they just want the publicity. Doesn't that sound like something like that they would do?
I mean, they've been sheepish about this before, about the whole we have our own this, we have our own that. So they like owning things, both literally and figuratively, regarding, I have this, we have the lightning cable. No one else better make this lightning cable.
Well, speaking of stuff that everybody is making, let's talk about the AI chatbot Bard made by Google, right?
Yeah, it was pushed up to the front back when ChatGPT was kind of everyone's favorite friend to bring to the party, or everyone's favorite AI tool to use for their essays in some cases. But anyway, that's another story. Bard came in around 2 weeks after ChatGPT started taking up all the fame and attention and skepticism, what have you. And Google made Bard, which is a chatbot, which, according to this piece by The Verge, people are calling it worse than useless and a pathological liar, which is not what you want to hear in this current battle of AI happening right now, which we'll get into later, regarding what that means for going forward as we get into more analysis about this. But yeah.
I feel like this is early. It's pretty early on for them, right? With this, since they just came out with it.
Oh yeah,
so
it was just like in March.
There's going to be bugs and flaws in their product. I think as time goes on, it'll get better. Especially with user testing, the more people that sign up for their service, like, because this is open source, right? Or is it open source? Or is it like open to the public where anyone can just try it out, right?
Yeah. Well, there's that, and I think they embedded it into Bing. No, that's someone else. That's someone else. Sorry.
Oh yeah, that was another AI chatbot.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just have to say this because I think it's great. I love the name Bard.
Bard. So to go further depth in this is from a report from Bloomberg that The Verge captured here, citing discussions with 18 current or former Google workers. With the story we covered about 5 months ago about the Google engineers saying this Google AI is really horrible and you should stop making this. That was a story in one of our previous episodes back in season 2 if you want to check it out. But yeah, this is citing initial concerns about how Google could go about this because their user count is still margins upon margins lower than ChatGPT, which in itself, I've had a good conversation about this on Friday with my friends in town here, as ChatGPT is AI the same way deli meat is meat, you know, where it's like it's there, but it's not artificial intelligence in the sense of it being intelligence. The intelligence there is basically through the fact of internet data being allowed to it. So if you ask it like, "Oh, give me a paper on Magellan," and it'll pull different articles people made and just kind of like smush them together as an answer, which is not great compared to Google, where Google will take the top results of what's related to what you just asked and funnel it through articles based on access and what was most viewed and what also answers your question or query the best compared to ChatGPT. But compare that to Bard, where the ethics is kind of at risk here as well, with other people saying that this is needs a risk evaluation regarding the internal safety team saying the system's not ready for general use for this item, as Google opened up early access to this bot in March without consideration, so to speak, according to these people in the report. As we continue on here, they're continuing to invest in this idea as they're currently kind of third place in the AI war, in my eyes. But in tests comparing themselves to each other, according to this Verge writer, they found Google Assistant to be less useful and accurate, which that could be a data problem in itself, like who can get what internet data, as well as Google being more early access still compared to ChatGPT.
I definitely think it's something to keep our eye on and see how it improves over time. Another AI that has come out, it's called XAI, a newer one that's come out. I think it's made by Elon Musk, right?
Yeah, this was a recent story, just arrived on the 12th of July. So they kind of further outline this, and we'll get into a deeper conversation about what AI is going to look like going forward here. But in essence, Elon Musk, who we covered before many times on this pod, I kind of don't want to keep covering him, but this is a connection to the. But he keeps coming up. He's like an onion that you leave in your cupboard. You want to ignore it, but it just starts to stink if you leave it there. But anyway, he revealed on Wednesday that he announces the debut of this new AI company, XAI, with a goal to understand the true nature of the universe. This was after he said earlier this year he had. This is in non-relation, in contrast more so to that fake letter he forged with 1,000 names saying we don't want AI, as well as him in essence and in person he used to be a part of the Open AI project, which would soon become ChatGPT. So there's a lot of oxymorons here, so to speak, with this creation. But
I think
going into this,
honestly, I think he's afraid, and I think that's why he wants to have his own company. I think he's afraid of what other companies are allowing their chatbots to do or their AI bots to do. And I I personally think that it is something that we need to keep an eye on. I think to quote what he said, it should be handled with the what do you say? Something about handling it. It's a risk
It should
equivalent to nukes and to pandemics, right?
it should
That's
be
what he said.
global priority alongside other societal scale risks like pandemics and nuclear war. Which
But yeah, it's definitely a scary uh, uh, push in technology. But I think it is important to take a step back sometimes and take a look at how do we make this safe? Like, because I mean, recently, what is it? A bunch of trains that were crashing because of safety concerns that were
yeah,
voiced by the employees, and the higher ups didn't take it into consideration. It's definitely something we need to keep an eye on.
it's about conversation, and I kind of agree with you. With he's afraid because he's already lost a good amount of millions of dollars on Twitter. So he want to create this startup to quote here delve into the mathematics of deep learning
I think
and
we
develop
all
a
saw,
theory of everything for large neural networks.
but I think we all saw the failures of Twitter because it's just a dying form, like media, social media in general.
Yeah,
But I look forward to his other. I feel like he's very conscious about the environment and the good of humanity. I look forward to his other upcoming technologies. For example, he said he's coming out with a phone. The phone. I think we did talk. Did we talk about the phone
we
before?
covered that before on the pod. I think last year his plans
And
for a Tesla phone that would be solar powered
yeah,
charging. Excuse me.
it charges itself, and that's with solar power. That's a big hit in the numbers. So if you look at how much power is consumed by us just charging our phones, if we could just switch that all over to solar, that's a big savings. It's a big help in saving the environment.
And that's saying something because the most solar power I see is the solar powered speed traps. Have you
So
seen
yeah,
those?
the speed traps.
Yeah, solar powered speed traps. It'll be like a speed
No, I
limit
haven't seen
counter,
those.
and they'll have like a tiny solar panel thing about the size of a laptop
Oh, I think I know what you're
above
talking
it.
about. Yeah, I didn't
And
realize they had solar on them.
they like putting those on like cut through streets like mine because people like to drive really fast down them so they can get to the highway.
But yeah, I
And
think a lot of Elon Musk's ideas are hit and miss. But I think he has the right
mhm,
mindset. Like he's trying to do good for the 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 world, basically.
the indications there, it's just you're gonna wonder if you have a unicorn idea or a horse idea. That's the analogy that Invest Talk mentioned the other day, where you can have a startup that's like $1 billion unicorn because you hear the hooves on the street and it's like, oh, whoa, whoa, this might be a new thing. And then you find out it's a horse, and they've seen a lot of horses. Like,
Well, I think
it's
that's
kind of
enough
about
about Elon
what can
Musk.
happen.
But let's talk about another idea that was a 100% hit.
Oh yeah, so far it's had the greatest launch, I think, in apps of recent memory. We're talking about Threads, which, again, I don't like connecting this. This is just coincidence that this all connects. This is the Twitter competitor, which again, Elon Musk is currently the CEO of until he transfers it to a woman at the end of this year. But he currently has to still manage something with this. But this app is called Threads, and it's Facebook's version or Meta's version of Twitter as a competitor. If you haven't seen it before, it's connected to your Instagram account, and it's another text-based social networking app like Twitter, except called Threads, and allows Instagram users to authenticate with their existing credentials to post short updates up to 500 characters. Tell me if this sounds familiar. Links, photos, and videos up to 5 minutes in length, as well as this being available on iOS and Android in 100 countries, but not the EU yet, according to data privacy regulations. Users can log in with their credentials as well as use their username and verification status to carry it over, as well as this app's existence first being scooped up and previewed, with many people liking it in June during a company-wide meeting. As well as this taking effect, it has certainly broadened its reach compared to Mastodon's ecosystem, engaging up to only 1.7 million active users, with Threads getting over 120 million users in the first couple of days, which is astonishing, as it's just Instagram with like a Twitter thread option. In my eyes, it's not much to me, as the article on TechCrunch here calls it Instagram for the thoughts, spelled THOUGHTS, as well as what you can use it for. As even though Facebook has shut down numerous standalone apps, this is not the best reach yet, which has got the eyeballs of Mr. Musk and those at Twitter. Have you checked this out, Mike?
No, I haven't actually tested the app out for myself. I've heard a lot about it. I heard it's kind of blowing up. I feel like it's going to be kind of short-lived, though. I remember we were talking about this early on, that how they have a lot of payment subscription models worked into this, into the app, and I feel like if your company can't stand on its own 2 feet based on your advertising model and stuff like that, then I don't think it's a good app. You
gotta have AdSense. You gotta have the right people involved, and there's already outgoing privacy concerns as well as legal concerns that we'll get to next time if it gets escalated, with Mr. Musk saying this might be copyright infringement regarding the features and UI of this app. But also there's ongoing privacy concerns, with places like The Guardian saying that they reportedly delayed the launch of this app, as originally supposed to come out in June, but due to legal uncertainty around the Digital Markets Act, which is passed in March, about how this can be put through, as well as the EU, which is starting to become my favorite global organization, the EU, because they have data protection laws.
They've done a lot of things right.
Like, it's about protection. The only catch is you'll be taxed like a lot more than you will here. But I digress. This isn't about the EU, it's about Threads. But I've seen a lot of competitors for social media apps here come and go. Like, remember, we don't use it that much anymore, but WhatsApp was another Facebook product, and it's being used a lot, especially in the Asian region of the world, the Eastern region, as well as different reaches like Signal, Telegram. Telegram is starting to get waves of. I heard the same same material about Telegram and Signal, and those are starting to quiet down. So,
what about like
personally,
Snapchat?
I don't know,
and Vine was big, but there's all kinds of stuff that kind of just gets big and then dies out. So I think it's definitely something to keep an eye on. We'll keep an eye on it too and see how that progresses.
Yeah, especially if litigation goes forward with Elon Musk serving the papers, which I think will happen before the end of the summer, personally, as well as them wanting to experiment new ways to connect with people. With what was it last year? They all tried to copy TikTok. Where it's like we're like TikTok. Here's Reels.
There's a ton of TikTok spin-offs out there.
Like I don't know how long those last, and my short on it also is I feel like these will last because of the people behind it. Because what I learned from places like Silicon Valley Bank, startups are very, very volatile. And when you have Elon Musk startup and his luck not being great as of late, I'm wondering how this will go and how much food is on his plate compared to Mr. Zuckerberg, where he kind of just put this out as a way to like show him how he feels about Twitter. It's less fear from Zuckerberg and more so I want to collect them all. Like, I can see him making like a Snapchat app as well, Miss Zuckerberg.
All right. Well, I want to talk about an application developed by Atlas. So I learned about this through the channel Linus Tech Tips. The video is called "You Don't Need a New PC." So the whole episode is about them buying an old desktop and refurbishing it. You know, kind of just doing a little bit of work on it and getting it ready for gaming. But they use this software that turns your old PC. It doesn't turn it new, but it makes it feel like new because the software is all bloated with all this software that you just don't need. All these updates and added on bloatware that just comes into your system over time. Uh, so I watched this video and I loved it. I think it was great. It's going to have so many benefits just using this on your OS post install just to get rid of all that bloatware. So I wrote down a few notes here. So one thing you can do with this is you can build a gaming PC for cheap. Let's say you want to get your first starter PC to get you started out in gaming, or maybe you need it for a new business or whatever. Because I know that a lot of gaming PCs translate well to certain companies that need GPUs for graphic design, CAD, all kinds of stuff like that. So this is a good way to get started on the cheap. You can buy an old desktop, add a few parts, maybe not even a few parts, maybe just a GPU, just slap a GPU in there, add the Atlas software to kind of get rid of the bloatware, and it'll feel fast. It'll feel fast again, snappy. So yeah, you can build a new one. You can revamp one of your old PCs. You can get rid of bloatware on your daily driver. Maybe your daily driver is just older, and you want to get rid of some of that bloatware. And this whole episode was based like on getting. They wanted to get all computers out of the landfill, so that it's very eco-friendly. So it encourages people to use old PCs
Conservation.
that would be in the landfill. Do you have anything to add to that, Greg? Sorry, I kind of went off there.
No, it's good because you're more into PC parts than I am. As my method, which I don't recommend, is I've gotten 2 gaming laptops for work and for gaming also, and I still game on the side a little bit, even though I tell people I'm done. But the gaming PC building is always been a thing, even back in the 90s when all the computers were beige and ugly, frankly. But it's tools like this to help people get like sort of lack of better words, revamp, get a kick in gear about PCs, because most PC news I see about the parts is just GPU prices are up, GPU prices are down, now they're back up. Oh, but this is like I'm sorry for the voice crack. This is something here that can help not only keep less computers out the landfill, which is a huge problem. Please, if you're going to actually get rid of a device, look up a electronic recycling day in your neighborhood or community or city, and they'll take care of it in a more ethically and eco-friendly manner. But I'd recommend that channel, much like the other stories we checked out on this episode here on the TechIT podcast, for resources to just help better yourself as well as your tech space, be it a remote worker, a gamer, or someone just curious about the tech space. And on that note, I want to also make out this episode to the creator of the Lithium-Ion Battery, John Goodenough, who died at the ripe age of 100. Without him, your phone wouldn't work, some of your laptops wouldn't work, as well as some of your appliances, some of your cooking tools, some of your razors, because he invented the lithium-ion battery. and got Nobel Prize.
Definitely a good person to tribute today's episode to. And we want to thank you all for joining us today and listening to our podcast.
Yeah, and thank you for joining me also, Mike.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here, and tthanks for joining me as well. Make sure you guys stay vigilant.
Stay vigilant, everyone.